Good morning. I wanted to talk to you for just a moment about border security. I began to do a little bit of reading, and I think it's timely since the president tried to get through to us as a nation last night. Now, I began to do a bit of research because I remembered that under the Clinton administration, there was a wall that had been built. And I was like, what were they doing back then? And how long ago was that? And, exactly in years. And how effective has that been? Well, what I have learned is that because of the threat of terrorism, the Border Patrol and Homeland Security began to beseech our government to please do something more proactive about securing the southern border. It wasn't just about illegal immigration. It was about the threat of terrorism that was beginning to come up from the south. People from this area in the Middle East were flying into Venezuela, they're flying into Central and South America, and they were making the trek up because they had the money and the resources and the resilient resolve to do so. They had a threatening agenda against our country. And we know already that there are cells of terrorism in our nation, that Homeland Security and our federal government is doing everything that they can do to bring down, to discover and to weed out and to keep us safe as a country. So I began to learn all of these things. And as far back as 1993, we had a partition set up near San Diego. It wasn't just one partition. It was a layer of three. Boom, boom, boom. 3 different types of fences that people had to get through to get into our nation because they were dealing with an influx of humanity up to 100,000 people per year. So what I also began to learn, and I got this information from NPR. I did my best to find an objective news source. So what I began to learn was that that one section of land that was allowing that super high traffic area of people to come through, in 1 year, we were able to bring it down by 95%. 1 year, 100,000 people. Following year, 5,000 people. That's a really big success rate, a really big one. And so as you listen to talking points on the internet, on the news, and on news radio, please try to keep in mind that we do have an enemy, okay? It isn't always about illegal immigration. We have an enemy that wants to bring our nation down, and they are very, very active in thinking of ways. I mean, honestly, consider 9/11. Did you really ever, you in your own mind or imagination, think that someone would literally fly a plane into a skyscraper? Did you ever consider that? No, but somebody did. Do you know why? Because they wanted to hurt America. Criminals are always looking for a victim. And terrorists who don't like this nation are always looking for a way to bring it down. And it is their life's work to bring it down. And we live in our American bubble watching Dancing with the Stars thinking that everything is fine, when really behind the scenes we have men and women in our military and in the federal government standing on a wall to keep us safe. In fact, our nation is full of many races, isn't it? So if our government is trying to do something to protect this nation from being harmed from outside forces, how can we be accused of being racist when we're protecting multiple races within the border? We're not sending people out and trying to turn America into white man land. We are erecting borders to keep Americans safe and to preserve the freedom of our constitutional republic. The white man, the Mexican man, the black man, the Alaskan native, there are 5 races on the census form. Okay, you have your Alaskan Indian, your Inuit native, you have your people from Africa, that's the 2nd race. You have the white race. The 4th race is Asian, and the 5th race is the Polynesian and Hawaiian Island natives. Okay, there are 5 races. And from these 5 races, they break out into little subgroups. You have your Mexican American, you have your Cuban American, et cetera, et cetera. All right, so all of these 5 races dwell within our country. How is our government a racist government if it's erecting a protective barrier around a country to preserve the safety, happiness, and well-being of those 5 races that are mixed up in that country? We're not racist. We're just wise. We're just cautious. We're just aware of a very serious and real threat that is coming against us. Is illegal immigration a problem? Yes, illegal immigration is a problem. If we could, we would take in everyone from every third world country that is suffering. It isn't easy to see people in Haiti suffering. It isn't easy to see people in Ethiopia suffering. It isn't easy to read about people in horrible conditions. But their governments have a responsibility to take care of them, just like our government has a responsibility to preserve our ability to work hard, to become the best human beings we can be, the best citizens we can be, and to live in a free country. We cannot solve the world's problems, and we have to take care of the people in this nation. So, having said that, I learned that for the past 40 years, our nation has been erecting barriers along the border already, and that they have been successful. I read that McCain and Ted Kennedy were on board with the last project that was going on back in 2006. I learned that under the Clinton administration, there was a barrier erected. I learned that there have been barriers that are 3 barrier thick, and I've also learned that there have been tunnels that were discovered that have been caved in. So we can't do everything at once, but we do need to do as much as we can every day. And if you are opposing border security, I personally would question your loyalty to this nation as an American citizen. We do not keep people from immigrating into this country. We don't. People still immigrate here legally. They do. A lot of them. Do a little Google search on how many people have come in from different countries, and Google many countries. Google China, Google India, Google all over the place. See how many people come into this nation. You're going to be surprised at how many immigrants, legal immigrants we have coming in. And I want you to remember not to listen to people with prejudice and bias against a reasonable voice. If you take the name off of the person speaking and you just read the words and you look at those words from an objective point of view, you will learn very quickly that there's nothing wrong with what's being said in regards to protecting and preserving our country. Do a little bit of reading and research. Don't believe gossip. Don't believe gossip. This is a situation that has been going on for longer than 40 years. But in regards to the actual erection of, partitions and walls and things like that, the last one that I read about was in 1993. So, nothing new. It wasn't this president's idea. He's just picking up a baton other presidents were already carrying in the race they were running, and he's continuing to run. Don't trip him. Don't get in his way. If you love this nation, if you love your kids, if you want them to have a happy, healthy place to grow up, border security should be one of the first things on your list of priorities to support it. Thanks for listening. God bless.